Well, hello there. Name's Gabby. Now, don't let these big ol' eyes fool you. I wasn't born yesterday. This was our very first meet and greet, and I'll be honest with you, I wasn't exactly impressed. He came in real hopeful, real polite. And then, would you look at this? He pulled out a tailor's measuring tape like he was fixing to sew me a Sunday dress. He measured my neck, my length, my girth, even checked my weight. Not because he was nosy, but because he was already thinking about what I'd need. A collar that fit right, a bed that felt safe, a jacket for cold days, and bowls big enough for a hound dog with self-respect. Now, I didn't go home with him that day. No, sir. But he looked the shelter manager in the eye and said, "I'll be back in a week to pick her up." And that's when I realized this fellow wasn't just visiting, he was preparing. Well, a week came and went, and sure enough, he came back for me. Now, I won't lie, I made him work for it. We had ourselves a 3.5-hour journey from Iowa to Missouri, and I watched that road like a lady watches a stranger at church, quietly, but carefully. When we finally got home, I did what any respectable hound dog does first. I went outside, and I handled my business. Then I walked right into that house like I'd lived there all my life, strolled down the hallway, and made a beeline for the bedroom. And there it was, my bed. I laid down in it so fast you'd think somebody might take it away from me. I didn't know what tomorrow would hold, but I knew one thing for certain. This soft spot right here wasn't just a bed. It was proof. I belonged somewhere again. Now, at the shelter, there's a tradition. Every successful adoption ends right here, with both parties sitting on the bench and a picture taken for the wall, so everybody can see the moment a bond was made official. And I'll tell you what, that sign behind us says, "I found my forever home." But let me clear something up real quick. He didn't just find me, he came back for me. He chose me on purpose, and I stood right there beside him, quiet as you please, because a lady doesn't make a scene in public. But I knew this was the moment I stopped being available and started being home. Now, the next morning, I had my eyes locked on that sliding glass door, because through that window I could see the yard and freedom. But before I could go out there and inspect my new kingdom, my fella decided it was time to get me dressed. And honey, he worked his little hands to the bone getting that coat on me. It was a little short. It was the wrong color for a woman. It wasn't a Vera Wang original. But you know what? It was mine. And I've been told by other girl hounds that I'd look good in a potato sack and some baling twine. So I stood there like a lady, let him buckle and fuss and readjust, and the moment he was done, I was ready to step outside and see what farm life had been hiding from me all this time. And if he ever tries to put it on backwards again, I'll forgive him, eventually. Bless his little human heart. He got up before dawn and fired up that snowblower to carve out a trail for us so we could walk, or run, or whatever we pleased. Now, in his mind, I believe he pictured a peaceful stroll. But in my case, I could not control myself. I rolled in that snow like it was the finest feather bed this side of Missouri, looked up at that big old sky, and I said a little doggy prayer of thanks. Because when you've been without a home, you don't forget the first time somebody makes you a path just so you can go enjoy the world again. And if you think I didn't roll again on the way back, you don't know me yet. Now, I was adopted on December 6th, 2024, and less than 3 weeks later, we had our very first Christmas together. He hung up stockings, embroidered with our names like we'd been a family for years. One said Ken, and one said Gabby. Now, I won't lie, that did something to my heart. And my stocking, oh, it was filled proper. Toys, treats, dental bones for my teeth, and one of those little food puzzles that's supposed to make a dog eat slower. The idea is, you have to figure out how to get the food out before you can eat it. Well, I took one look at that contraption, flipped it over, and dumped every last bit of food right onto the floor. Then I proceeded to hoover it up like a canine vacuum cleaner. I reckon I was simply too old for children's games. And besides, Christmas is about peace on earth and food in my belly. And it was at that moment that I gave this newfound life my very first Gabby Approved. Now, by the end of that first year, That original coat had been through, well, me. It was torn to shreds, and honestly, it didn't stand a chance. See, out in those pastures, I've got what you might call natural camouflage, which sounds real fancy until your human is out there squinting into the distance trying to figure out if you're a hound dog or a shadow with legs. So he got me a new coat. One that fit me proper, was easier to put on. And honey, this magenta color can be seen from a mile away. The very first thing I did when he put it on me? I walked straight to my bed, sat down with all my new toys, and I posed, because I reckon I wanted a picture for posterity. And yes, sir, I was rocking it like I just finished strutting the catwalk on stage. A lady can be practical and still have a little flair. You can't lose me in the pasture now, sugar. I'm too fabulous. Now, on a typical day, you can find me right here at the gate by the barn waiting on my human. Some dogs wait by the front door. Me, I report for duty. And just like I told you before, I've got myself some natural camouflage. It helps me sneak up on those pesky squirrels and rabbits who insist on trespassing like they pay taxes around here. Now I do my best to wait polite. I truly do. But every now and then, the urge comes over me, and I'll just dash off into the pasture, or the tree line, or wherever I'm certain something is testing the boundaries of my territory. Because a lady may have manners, but she also has responsibilities. Protocol dictates that I seek and destroy, but I prefer to conduct a thorough investigation before utilizing needed resources, like calories from treats. Now, back in November, my human entered me in a contest. 78 dogs entered, and the top 13 winners were going to be featured in a 2026 calendar. Well, out of all them contestants, I came in 4th. Yes, ma'am, 4th. And if you ask me, that's about right. Because this picture right here, this is me at the height of bliss. I'm in my favorite spot, my bed. I'm surrounded by my treasures, and I'm dreaming of chasing something. I'm just not sure what yet. But if you look real close, I believe you'll see it. That little smile, that's not just a sleepy dog. That's a dog who finally feels safe enough to rest and happy enough to dream. And honey, I've been told that kind of peace could launch 1,000 ships. Deep sigh. But I'll settle for launching a few hearts. Now I know what you're thinking. Gabby, that sounds mighty nice, but is it true? Well, sugar, I don't just tell stories, I bring receipts. There I am, plain as day, right in the 2026 calendar, Miss September. So yes, ma'am, it happened. Yes, sir, it's real. And if I sound proud, it's because I am. That's what you call Gabby Verified. Now my human knows I don't like to mess my hair up, but he insisted I wear this tiara that says birthday girl. And I will admit, it's a fine title. But if you notice that little side eye at the end, that was me saying, it may be Gabby Verified, but it is definitely not Gabby Impressed. If you'd like to see what happens next, stick around. This story's just getting started. Gabby Approved.